The San Francisco Reparations Committee is proposing this, a one-time lump sum payment of $5 million to each eligible black resident for the decades of, quote, systematic repression. You see it on your screen. The proposed reparations, they're not for slavery, since California was not a slave state. But again, reparations nonetheless. Richie Greenberg is a San Francisco resident against reparations. Timothy Allen Simon is also a San Francisco resident and is for reparations. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on, answering the call. We appreciate that. We'll start with obvious questions here. I'll start with Richie. Who pays for this? I know that you're contemplating legal action against the city. Is it taxpayer money?
Hi, first of all, thank you for having me today. Yes, if you look at this proposal, the plan, which is a 60-page disaster of a plan, it's a lose-lose proposal. There's one particular area right there where it says that they propose a tax, a reparations tax. Now, of course, that cannot be enacted unilaterally by any commission or the supervisors, our city council. It would have to go to the voters. It would have to be proposed and qualify for a ballot measure. But that is one way that they would raise money. Another is simply raiding our city's coffers.
So essentially looking for the money that already is in existence, but nonetheless, that money would have got there from taxpayers. Would that be appropriate to say?
Yes, of course. And that is the reason why, since myself, my business, family, property, any of these taxes, anything that we pay into the city would potentially be used to pay.
Okay. Let's move now to Timothy Allen Simon. I know, Timothy, thank you for coming on. And you say you're for these reparations. Absolutely. Explain to the viewers your stance on it.
Well, I'm a native of San Francisco, live in San Francisco, own a law and consulting firm in San Francisco, and have properties in San Francisco. So I'm very, very familiar with the historic targeting of African Americans and the African American community in San Francisco, particularly through the redevelopment plan, which decimated what was called the Harlem of the West, and that was the economic engine of San Francisco on Fillmore Street. My father, who was honorably discharged from the United States Navy after the Port Chicago explosion, and my mother, both of whom came here in 1944, who lived at the Madam C.J. Walker Home for Girls. They witnessed, as I witnessed firsthand, how the African-American community was dismantled. People were moved out of their homes that were destroyed, given certificates to return, but many of those certificates cannot be placed because of increasing housing prices. So I think I'm proud of the city for having an open dialogue. This is not yet approved by the Board of Supervisors. I expect that there will be deliberation. I agree with Mr. Greenberg that this could result in one of our city propositions, but the fact that we as a city are examining, similar to what South Africa did, having the comparison of a truth and reconciliation process, I think it's healthy for the dialogue between white Americans like Mr. Greenberg and myself as an African American and longtime resident of San Francisco.
I do. I think it's healthy to have these conversations, not a one-sided conversation in any topic, really. So we'll close with that. Richie, your final thoughts. You've listened to Timothy explain his position on that. Your final thoughts.
Well, what this proposition has, what this plan has actually, is to create what looks like an apartheid state. A government that would be ruled by the black population, a continuation of the black group, this committee that was formed, to rule at all aspects of the black population: commerce, banking, education, housing, healthcare, and would funnel all the priority to that population. And that right there is also a problem. Proposition 209, which is here in California, specifically prohibits the preferential treatment or preferential monies or backing of a specific race or sex, and that right there would doom this plan right from the start. And so this plan would require the overturning and the repeal of Prop 209 in California.
I was going to wrap it, but if I can, I just need one more question. Thank you, with Timothy. I'm curious to know if I can. Let's just put this forward and say, hey, this becomes a ballot measure. There's a yes vote for this prop. It goes through. What would you do with $5 million?
Well, I think that's, if we're talking about liberty and freedom of all individuals, the pursuit of happiness, I think that would be up to each individual. But I think it is an opportunity to fund education, job training, and other areas. I want to remind Mr. Greenberg and the audience, there's only one African-American member on our Board of Supervisors. So this is not a case where African-Americans are running the city. We're somewhere between 4 and 6% of the population. So I'm proud of my city, and particularly this predominantly non-Black Board of Supervisors have said, let's look at how we repatriate the fact that we honored the Fugitive Slave Act, the fact that for many years African Americans could not testify in courts. For many years, Africans were not allowed to live in certain communities, not by happenstance, but actual government policies. So we're talking about state action, as I'm sure what Mr. Greenberg is familiar with. There's no doubt in my mind it will be challenged in the court. We're a long ways from it. Probably with the $5 million, I would put it towards some type of educational effort to support those in my community, that actually our community, who could use the type of resources that white Americans have had since largely the founding of this country. So I think, again, it's a dialogue. It still has to be voted on. I agree with Mr. Greenberg. It could go before the voters. But this type of healthy dialogue, I think, is beneficial for those of us who are for and against reparations.
But Timothy, are you not concerned too? You're a well-educated man. Are you not concerned that maybe some of this being brought to light, some of it may have to do with politics, knowing that this may not, with all likely, get passed, but maybe this has to do with politics?
I think everything in this country has a political point to it. In fact, I'm the former vice chairman of the San Francisco Republican Party. So I think you cannot evade politics in this discussion. It was politics that approved the slave codes that enslaved individuals. It was politics that allowed California to honor the Fugitive Slave Act, where escaped slaves could be returned to their owners in this state, founded in 1848. So, yes, it is political. There's no ands or buts about it. But there are also economic analysis. There are scholarly papers and works that Mr. Greenberg and I have both reviewed in favor of this. I think it is a healthy dialogue. It's not done yet. Mr. Greenberg will have the opportunity to comment before the Board of Supervisors as this resolution comes up to a vote, as will other citizens in San Francisco. Yes, California supported 209, and also Prop 16, defeated Prop 16, which would have amended Prop 209. So it's clear that this state has differences when it comes to how we resolve America's racial history, and particularly in relationships to African Americans.
All right, but this would need, but everyone on this panel would agree that you would allow the voters, the tax-paying voters, to decide this, right? Not a board of supervisors.
I would be comfortable
also
with a board of supervisors. I'd be comfortable with a board of supervisors vote.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. Your retirement funds are being threatened with even more losses from record inflation, recession, and skyrocketing interest rates. Fortunately, the highly trained specialists at American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. If you call them right now as a special offer, they will give you a free gold coin on your first qualifying order, so don't wait. Call 866-935-4309. That's 866-935-4309, or text Newsmax to 65532. That's Newsmax to 65532.